Well, hey there, and welcome to my channel. My name is Crafty Kathy, and I am so happy and thankful that you stopped in to craft and spend a little time with me today. I have 4 gorgeous DIYs that are made with the Dollar Tree wallpaper. They are Easter and spring themed, so I think you're really going to like these. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment, even if it's just an emoji. And please give me a big thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, what in the world are you waiting for? Hit that little red button and become a part of our family. But enough of my blabbing. Let's get into the DIYs.
All right, we're going to start out with this thrifted wall clock that I purchased at Goodwill. I've had it for about 2 or 3 years. It was only $1.99, and this was back before the prices went just absolutely crazy. So what I did was just give it a good cleanup, and I flipped it over. And most of these clocks like this have about 4 screws in the back, and all you have to do is just unscrew it, and you can take all of the insides out and make the most beautiful little vignette inside. This is one of my favorite types of DIYs to do, is to gut the inside of a clock like this and make like a little scene inside of it. You can do it for different seasons or just for no reason at all, just because it's really cute. And I really like the look of this clock. It's not a vintage clock by any means, but it kind of has that vintage vibe to it. Now this one was giving me a little bit of trouble to get it all apart, but I finally just broke down and grabbed my 10 snips and just kind of started cutting away at it, and you see how easily it comes apart at that point. Now I can't put the back of this clock back on there because it kind of bubbles out, and I don't want that. So what I did was take a pack of cardstock, and at the very back of it is a really good thick piece of cardboard, and I just traced it out, and that's what we're going to use as the back of this. And I took my clock outside and I gave it a few coats of my favorite spray paint, the Ultra Matte Rust-Oleum 2 times. And when it was dry, I brought it back in and traced over this gorgeous wallpaper. Now, out of all the wallpapers at Dollar Tree, this one is definitely my favorite, and it is the most spring and Easter looking. All I did was peel the backing off like a sticker and stick it right down over that piece of cardboard. I took one of my little packs of string lights and I'm starting to unwind it. I get these off of Amazon. I get about 16 of them in a pack for around 12 bucks. They're in my Amazon store in case you want to grab some. It's definitely a better deal than the Dollar Tree. The way that I'm going to get these to stick is just take an old ribbon. I'm going to glue that ribbon all around to the inside of this clock, because this clock's metal, and if I just try to put the hot glue and glue those string lights, they're never going to hold. But if I put down this ribbon, it gives me a base to put some glue on to add the string lights to. So I finished gluing the ribbon, and then I started by putting a little glue on that ribbon to get my string lights on. That's a long about way to go just to get some string lights in this thing. But I'm going to tell you what, it's going to make all the difference. It's going to be so pretty when it's lit up. What I plan to do is let the end of the string lights, the controller, come out the top part, because that way you're never going to see it. And I quickly do like a little dry run with that backing just to make sure that it's going to fit on there correctly whenever I've got my little string hanging out the top, and it does. So then I just took and glued the backing onto the back of the clock, and I put just a little bit of glue on the one side of the controller that I won't need to open up when I'm changing the batteries, and I just simply glued it on the back. I like to make up a bunch of different molds ahead of time, so when I'm doing my projects, I have them ready. Now, these are 2 little resin bunnies, and I got the mold for these at Temu. I think I only paid maybe $2.98, maybe it was $2.28. It was very cheap, and it was just these 2 little bunnies, but they turned out so cute. I just left them the color that they were, which is white. That's the color of the resin. And I took some really watered down Waverly Antique wax and I ran it over them and wiped it back off with the baby wipe. Then I used a little bit of that Type Bond thick glue. It's Type Bond Quick and Thick glue. And, you know, it's usually a wood glue. However, it's one of the best things that you can use for your molds to get them to stick. So I put a little bit on each of the backs and also just a little tiny bit of hot glue because I want them to stick right now and that not be a problem. I grabbed my glue gun and just put a little bit of a little bit of glue down in the bottom, and I'm using this moss to go down in the bottom to look like the bunnies are standing in grass. I get my moss at Hobby Lobby because there were several times when I had purchased moss or the Spanish moss from Dollar Tree, and it smelled like cat pee, y'all. I'm just going to be honest. It smelled like cat pee. And I ain't doing it no more. So I just get mine at Hobby Lobby. It's a little bit more expensive, but honestly, it looks so much better too. These are 2 more molds, and they're just actually pieces of molds. And I'm going to use them also to kind of frame out this clock. The first thing that I did was took my gold leaf Rub and Buff, and I love Rub and Buff. I'm such a fan of Rub and Buff. If you ever have used it, you'll know. And I've never heard anybody use this stuff that didn't like it or that didn't rave about it. It's just good stuff. I like to put mine on my fingers because it gives me better control of where I want it at. And these, as you see, are kind of like a little leafy pattern. They're kind of like I don't know, some kind of flower. They're like a leafy flower garland thing. And I just wanted to accentuate that, and I rubbed over it with the gold leaf. I used a very small dab of that Quick and Thick, but I put mostly hot glue to hold these on. And I'm sorry I had to stand my clock up so I could get the perfect placement of these. And you can still see it, it's just not the best picture. So I laid one down on the bottom and then one across the top. And I just love the way this turned out. Then with that Rub and Buff that I had on my fingers, I went around the clock and also with a small paintbrush and just added little gold touches here and there. And I added 2 little eggs in the middle. I hope you like this one.
Well, I wanna take a ride in the wheelbarrow in your mind. Take me all around to the thinking places where you spend your time. Ain't no place I'd rather go. You're a funny little critter and I love you so, man. I wanna take a ride in the wheelbarrow in your mind. I come and sit down with me in a rocking chair.
The next one that we're going to do is going to be on this box here that is at the end of this shelf. This is a shelf that I purchased at the Discovery Outlet about 3 years ago, and it's been hanging on my wall, and I thought I really need to do something to this box. It had 4 screws in it holding it on, and so I just unscrewed it, and I'm going to use this beautiful wallpaper. I just took it and cut it straight down the middle, and I traced off where I need to cut so that it would go around this evenly. Now, this one was so easy, guys. All you had to do was just kind of trace it and just put it on there. It was just so simple to do. I mean, all of these are simple, but you know what I'm saying. This was just really easy. It's just put her on and go. So I started off at one end and I just wrapped it. I was making sure to pull it taut whenever I went around the corners so that we wouldn't have any kind of excess hanging over. Now, if you do have a little bit that might be sticking up at the top or the bottom of a box like this, it's no big deal because this wallpaper takes the sandpaper really good. You know, all you got to do is pull out your little sandpaper and get that excess right off of there. So it took both pieces of this to cover, but it's totally fine. It actually took about probably 3/4 of the paper. I had a little bit left over, but each time that you go around something like this, you just make sure that you've pulled it taut and you're not going to have like a big bump in it.
And I wanna take a ride in the wheelbarrow in your mind. Take me all around to the thinking places where you spend your time. Ain't no place I'd rather go. You're funny little critter and I love you so. And I wanna take a ride in the wheelbarrow in your mind. Yeah, I wanna take a ride in the wheelbarrow in your mind.
I got me some new rice papers from Miss Lori over at Milton's Daughter. And guys, the stuff that she has for Easter and spring is to die for. It's gorgeous. And as you see, I just wet the end of my paintbrush, go around the area that I want to tear, and I just tear that off. I'm going to use another mold that I had pre-made, and this mold is from the Trimmings mold. It's IOD, and I also got that from Lori also. The name of her store is Milton's Daughter. And guys, if you use Crafty Kathy 10, you get 10% off your first order. And she's just amazing. You should really go check her out. So what I did here was use just a glue stick. I didn't want to use the permanent glue stick because I wanted the option of taking it off if I wanted to. And I placed my picture down with just that glue stick, and it holds it very well. I went around this with Rub and Buff, and then I remembered, oh no, I wanted to put the antique wax on there. So I thought, oh, what the heck. I just went around it with the antique wax, and when I wiped it back with the baby wipe, it was the most beautiful brownish gold color. And of course, after I got that color, I was very happy with it, but I still added a couple more little touches of gold here and there. I hope you like this one. I think it's gorgeous, and it really made a statement on this shelf.
I wanna jump around when I think about yesterday. Your smile, your style so fly, my oh my.
Moving right along into the next DIY, I have this plaque or a picture that was $1.99 from the Goodwill. Well, actually, I got this in the bins. I just now remembered. So I probably paid less than $1 for it. I'm going to use this wallpaper that has the gold on it. I think it's so pretty. And all I'm going to do is just place this on the very front of my picture. And I did have just a slight bit of overhang. So I grabbed my little hand sander here, and I just went right over it, and it comes off so amazingly easy. I have this little wooden round circle that either came from Hobby Lobby, about 3 in a pack, but for some reason I think it came from Dollar Tree, and it was just a single piece. I'm going to use the DIY paint color called Beadboard, and I gave it a really good coat. When it was dry, I'm going to use another one of these beautiful pieces of rice paper that I got from Miss Lori. And this time, I am going to use the permanent glue stick. I have these in my Amazon store. They're only like $3.81 for 4 of them. And they really come in handy on those projects that you want to decoupage and that you want to be permanent. I just went all around my little piece and stuck my rice paper down on there. Look how easy it is to decoupage with a glue stick. I don't know why anybody would want to do it any other way. There are some times when I might need to use like a liquid patina or something, but those times are very few and far between anymore. And as you see, I just used my little hand sander to get the excess off. I took a small piece of floral foam, and I'm going to glue this down toward the bottom, and then I'm going to glue my cute little chickies right over the top of it. Then I'm just going to take some of these different flowers. These are called mini flower, and they are from Walmart. I just cut the different little sprigs off. And then I also have just a couple little pieces of eucalyptus that I'm cutting down. I don't want it to stick out too far, so I cut the pieces down a little bit smaller than what I normally would. And I'm just kind of going around this in no particular order, just putting it where I think it's going to look good. And I lost the next little piece of footage, which all it was me cutting off 4 little sprigs of this pink flower. It came from Walmart, and I just added that to it. And yes, that is only 4 more sprigs. And I didn't like where the little chicks were in their placement, so I kind of popped it up, scooted it up, and glued it back down where it looked a little bit better.
I saw the ending before the movie was done. I got thick skin because I've been burned before. I got baggage that you don't know of. Learn the hard way not to trust anyone. I'm not letting anyone.
On the last one, I'm going to attempt to explain how you wrap a book. It's basically like the way we used to wrap them back in school. Now, I've got these old books that I had purchased at the bins, and this is absolutely crazy that the book that I found, I was looking through it, and when I opened it up, it was about halfway through the thing. There was an old bank statement in it, and this is so cool to me. I just love finding old papers. This is from January 27th, 1952, and this lady put in $55 and then 2 checks, and it totaled up $63. And I can't really read what the lady's name is at the top that made it. And of course, it didn't have any kind of actual bank information on it, like her number or anything. But I just thought that was cool. I love old papers and stuff like that, finding them. And you never know what you're going to find in these books. So anyways, the way that I start off is I make sure that my spine is in the center. I make sure that I have about 1 inch at the top and about 1 inch at the bottom. The reason why I'm going to do that, I'll show you that in just a second. So what I'm going to do here is just cut that top piece off because I'm not going to need that. I still had 1 inch on both ends. Now, I'm just going to be 100% transparent with you here. There's times when I'm doing these, doing the wallpaper on these books and stuff where I kind of fumble, but I have to think for a minute and get my bearings, and then I can always figure it out. So don't flip out if you feel like you're doing it wrong. You really can't mess it up too bad. I went ahead and pulled the whole backing of the paper off, and like I said, I start off in the middle, and I make sure that that's stuck down really good. A lot of people use like these Cricut tools and stuff, but I found that it was just aggravating me more than it was helping me. And you see here I've got at least 1 inch hanging over on all the sides. And this is where I was talking about that I kind of cut it wrong. You have to cut like a triangle, and you go in from the corner down to the bottom of the book. And then at the very, like the middle part, the spine, I just make 2 cuts, 1 on each side, and then you cut it off even shorter in a minute. I do that all the way around, and here I just cut down because, like I said, I only needed about 1 inch, and you cut in the middle, and I cut every one of these wrong right there, and I'll show you what I'm talking about right here. The first thing I do is flip over that side pocket, which that's the easiest way to do it. But if you'll look here, if I curl this book up, it's not going to do what I'm needing it to do. So basically, I did the triangle, but I did it the wrong direction. But it's no big deal. I can go back and just cut it the right direction. You see how I've got it there at the end? I just clipped it off and made it right. Now here at this end, I clipped it to make it correct, and then
that end. See, that's the way that it's supposed to go. I know that I'm kind of fumbling around my words, but I think you can see what I'm talking about there, how I cut it the opposite direction. You want it to just fold up with ease. And the two that's at the piece that's at the top and the bottom, you just have to cut it a certain way there for it to fold up with ease. See, that one went with no problem. And you just flip it up and it has a nice uniform look. And then here I went over with the side flap again. I hope that I didn't fumble that up too much, but I'm sorry. It's just sometimes it's so hard to explain something that you're trying to do. It's so much easier to just eyeball it. And there at the top and the bottom, I leave a lot less than an inch, just enough to kind of curl it over that little top piece of the book so everything just looks nice and uniform. I've got this adorable little Easter ornament that I ordered off of Amazon, and there was about 40 in the box. There was all different scenes and stuff. They were so cute. You can see a couple of them up above there, the little bunny and the duck. And I do have these linked in my Amazon store in case you want some. I'm just making like a little bookmark out of this, and I tied like some little twine to it and a little bead. If you stuck with me through this whole video, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I don't tell you enough how much I appreciate you guys. Also, if you would, please give me a big thumbs up if you did like this video, and comment, because those things really help me out on YouTube. Even if it's just a heart emoji, it means a lot to me. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, click that little red subscribe button and become a part of our family, because we would love to have you. Normally, my videos come out on Mondays and Thursdays. However, with the issues I've been having lately with my health and stuff, it's just been either Monday or Thursday. But I promise I'll be making some more for you, and I'll see you back here real soon, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Now, did you know that if you are on your smartphone or tablet, you can click on my face on the right here and subscribe to my channel? You sure can. And if you like this type of content, here's another one that's very similar. Just click on it and you'll go there next. I love you guys.